Hello everybody, hope you guys are enjoying your day. Today we're going to be looking at your severe weather, which is going to be impacting regions in the southeast from today all the way until early on Friday morning with some pretty good severe weather, which is going to be, again, impacting areas into the southeast. We're going to be diving deep into this. This is one of your first really major severe weather events. We've already had about 6 fatalities, unfortunately, and we've had about 7 injuries from what I've seen so far, maybe even a little bit more. We've had about 5 to 10 EF1 tornadoes. I saw one EF2 tornado even reported. So a lot of damaging tornadoes. And again, EF1 and EF2 tornadoes are still very damaging. Of course, not as damaging as your EF4s, EF5s, but definitely very dangerous still. Even if you have only an EF0 even, or an EF1 or an EF2, still those can cause quite a bit of damage. So I do advise anybody in the southeast from about Texas and Oklahoma eastward through Arkansas, Louisiana, and eastward through the southeast. I really do want to advise you guys to be very careful of when you guys are traveling, or just make sure you're staying up to date. Make sure that you have some sort of weather radio or weather radio station or some way that you can get notified if you do have a tornado warning or severe thunderstorm warning. Make sure you are getting notified. Now we're going to start off with the National Weather Service. We have hydrological outlooks over areas into the southeast for Georgia, Florida, and Alabama, as well as there for western North Dakota. We also have some high wind watches and warnings there for north central Montana, as well as some wind advisories for the western part of California. And other than that, quite a quiet day, except for the severe weather that's happening over much of the southeast. Now, here's your current radar loop, and you see we do actually have quite a bit of organized thunderstorm activity that's happening over Alabama and Georgia. And again, really, the heart of this severe weather was really for the wind, but you also had about 34 reported tornadoes, 32 confirmed tornadoes, and they're still surveying and trying to get as much information as they can as to where the storm's tracked and trying to nail down the intensity of the storm, whether it's an EF0, EF1, EF2, potentially even an EF3 with some of these. And definitely, we've had a lot of rainfall already. We already see some organized supercells starting to develop over central Alabama. And this is when I'm recording this, so this would probably be about 30 to 40 minutes before this video actually does get released. So definitely take that into account. And this is on the National Weather Service's website, so you can always check this out. You also have some pretty good thunderstorm activity, more heavy rain and downpours rather than thunderstorms over areas into Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia. Still a bit too cold for those areas to see organized severe thunderstorm activity, but definitely we'll see some organized severe thunderstorms, and they're already moving through your area. And you see, really, it's going to start moving out, and then you're going to have this next wave, which is going to start to form out into Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, and that's going to start moving to the east and bring some severe weather to those areas. So here is the confirmed storm reports, and you see we have 34 in the reds. Those are tornadoes, 34 confirmed tornadoes. And just going through the tornadoes, you see we have 4 injured here with an EF2 tornado, and I'm just reading what the comments on these reports are. 4 injured in an EF2 tornado there, and then we also have a couple more. If you scroll down, we have 3 fatal, which means 3 deaths out of this, unfortunately, and 7 injured out of this one. Doesn't tell us the intensity of the storm. They're probably still surveying there, but I would assume maybe an EF1, EF2 tornado, and then 3 fatalities here for another tornado that was there over areas into Alabama, and most of these actually happened in Alabama. You had a couple. This one was in Louisiana with the 4 injured in the EF2, and you see just a wide variety of different reports. We've had 0 hail reports, so really hail not being the main issue here, but really wind. 789 reports of some wind damage, and then 34 reports of tornadoes. And these numbers, unfortunately, are most likely only going to go up as we continue and as we go through tomorrow. So here is your Storm Prediction Center's forecast, and I think they did a pretty good job. I think they should have actually increased the slight ranking over here through Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, and through Alabama, Georgia, and much of Tennessee and Kentucky, because that's where you really did see a lot of tornadoes, and I think that would at least warrant a slight risk of severe weather there. But you see, they had that for today, which is going to be ending tonight. And then they'll go into the next day, which would be day 2, and they're showing about a slight risk here for Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and in that area. Now, They're showing a 5% chance actually of some tornadoes there for Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, Kentucky, and I think this should have been moved a lot further to the south than what they're showing here, and the 2% risk in those green areas. Now your wind, I think they did pretty good on this, 15% there for Tennessee and Kentucky, and hail, we really didn't see any hail, so I think the hail really busted here. You didn't really see too much hail out of this, so definitely I think their hail forecast really didn't do too well with this event. Now we did have for the day 2, we do have that slight risk. Now it's this system which is currently, as you saw on the radar, it's pretty much over this area, and it's gonna be moving out to the east, and then you're gonna get this next surge of moisture coming out of the Pacific. You're gonna get a slight risk, according to the Storm Prediction Center here, over parts of southern Texas, a marginal risk for a large area from Texas through into Georgia. Now we have a 2% chance of tornadoes through Alabama and Georgia, as well as into southern Texas, a 15% chance of wind damage, and a 5% chance surrounding that in south central Texas, as well as there for Alabama and Georgia. And your hail risk, 15% chance there for south central Texas, and a 5% chance there for Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Now here is your day 3, which would be be on Thursday for much of the day, or much of the day on Wednesday actually, and this would be a marginal risk there. And again, it's shifting to the east. You have a marginal risk for areas in the Gulf states, and then also slight risk there for Texas, Louisiana, into Mississippi, Alabama, and into the Panhandle, Florida. And for day 3 and beyond, they only have a probabilistic forecast. So this is all the combined severe weather's event. Different types of severe weather, and they're showing a 15% chance there, which is quite significant there over areas into Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and into Florida there. Now, here is your day 4 severe weather outlook, which would be for Thursday and getting into early on Friday. You're seeing a 15% chance there for Georgia and into Florida, as well as a little bit there of South Carolina. Now, this would a 15% chance would equate to a slight risk if this were to stay in the same exact area, which it won't. They change this every day and they update this every day, but this would equate to a slight risk. And if you were to get a 30% chance here, which would be in this orange right here, you would be in an enhanced risk. So just to kind of explain kind of the severity of what a 15% chance risk is. Now let's look at what the NAM 12cam model is producing in terms of the amount of in terms of supercells. Now don't take this for exactly where your supercells are going to set up, but I just want to show you this because it is going to demonstrate that we do have quite a bit of cape or lift in the atmosphere, which is going to allow for quite a bit of energy to be pulled in. Now, also, I want you to look at this. We have a high pressure situated to the east of South Carolina, and this can be rotating. Now, all of these rotate clockwise. Now, you're gonna see these winds coming out of the south, and these winds, this line indicating that these winds are coming out of the south. Now, this can be indicative that you're getting again this moisture coming out of the south, and that will really prime some severe weather over these areas into areas into the deep south states, as you're getting that warm, humid air coming out of the Gulf of Mexico. So let's move through what the NAM 12 cam is showing. It's showing this batch of rainfall moving to the east, but then as we get into the daytime hours on Tuesday, which would be tomorrow, we're seeing a little bit more thunderstorm activity through areas into Alabama and Georgia, and you're seeing a bit of supercell activity potentially indicated there on the NAM 12 cam model. And as we continue this, most of it off screen there into south central Texas, it will start moving to the east, and that's when you'll start to see it on this frame here over areas into Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and then for the very deep south states near the Gulf of Mexico, where you are going to be expecting, this would be by Wednesday, some supercell activity. The slow pressure starts to move out, and again, also if you were looking at the models, there is some sort of nor'easter that looks to develop and move to the northeast. A lot of the models are indicating that goes off to shore. A couple of the models bringing it closer to shore. NAM 12 cam model is one of them, but this wave of severe weather, this low pressure system is going to be the same low pressure system that would be moving up the coast. So as we get more information on how this actually plays out, once we get really into Wednesday and Thursday, we'll have a good idea on that nor'easter for any of you guys who were wondering, because I do know I have a couple, quite a few viewers from the northeast, and I just want to notify you guys on that. Now, again, over the deep south through early on Thursday, you're going to see these thunderstorms continue to move through, and now as we continue this, it gets a little bit more organized. You start to get a little bit more of a straight line of thunderstorms, and that's something that indicates a lot of wind damage, but not necessarily a lot of tornadoes. So that's a good thing. I think a lot of us would rather have wind damage instead of tornado damage. Tornadoes can definitely cause a lot more damage than those winds can, and you're gonna get these straight line winds that are gonna move through quickly, 15 minutes or so of very strong winds, and then you're gonna have that very strong downpours of rain, and then you're gonna see really just a clearing in the skies, and it should be pretty calm after that. Now, this straight line, really, if you want tornadoes, you're going to want to see these little thunderstorms pick out, and you're going to want to see these little supercells so that these cells do get a little bit of room to kind of grow and produce a thunderstorm. Now, as you continue this, you start to see by Thursday and Friday, you start to see again that snowstorm potentially for areas into the northeast. Now, I'm going to probably make a video on that Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, depending on when I feel confident enough to make a video on that. But the NAM putting this coastal low pressure system a little bit closer to the coast. A lot of the models actually have this further out to sea, so that's what I'm going with so far. But definitely, we'll have to keep that in mind that this is definitely a possibility, and we're still about 4 days out, 3.5 days out, so a lot still can change. So that is going to wrap it up for the video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turn on notifications to never miss a video when I do upload. Anyways, guys, that was Eli Thorga, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.